Tapu, assalamu alaikum, namaste, Haroon Nefer. This is Qesankh with another exciting video for you. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how to create your avatar. Actually, I'm going to expand on this because I covered this several years ago. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. If you're interested in learning more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below and click on any one of the 4 ebooks. Download them today. They're absolutely free and start reading. But if that just wets your whistle and you want to know more, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. You will get exclusive access to instructional videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to meditate, how to do self-hypnosis to get rid of that overeating or that nicotine addiction, videos on contacting spirits for your protection, astral projection, how to create an amulet, and so much more. And if you're an Osira level supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter today. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so you can get the revolution started. So Haroon Nefer, may Buddha bless you, Grand Rising. I want to talk about a very, very important subject. Hetep Black. I was watching this woman's YouTube channel the other day. Everett, prosperity and peace to the group, Hatepu. So I was watching this woman's channel. She deals in esoteric. And it was just killing me to get through it because there were just numerous things that she was totally wrong on. And then she was like, ended it by saying, if you want a consultation, I'm like, consultation with you? That would be freaking disastrous. Now, mind you, her personal life is just falling apart, you know, and she admits her personal life is falling apart. But the one thing that scared me was, and we're going to tie this into what I'm saying here about the subject matter, she admits she doesn't read books, that it all comes from mind. Now, if you are on the level of Hermes Trismegistus or Tahuti, then that's fine because you have ascended to that sphere on the tree of life. But that takes so much work and maybe even incarnations to get to that level to where you are the mouthpiece of God. Tahuti is known as the mouthpiece of God, that he can intuit wisdom directly from the Akashic records. So you know how difficult that is. And we have Tahuti meditations where it stills the thought process so you can get rid of the emotion. And when the emotions are gone and the ego has been neutralized, then you can connect to source. You see, that's why a lot of your pimp pastor ministers and your Christian churches have failed miserably. They have failed us because these ministers are emotional. And when you are riddled with emotion, you become Sahu, animal spirit. Do you understand? And this has had them say things and do things to appease their female audience so they can get tithes. Women who are having babies by multiple men, they're not chastising these women because these women tithe every week. So they can't. The attack on the Black community by certain special interest groups, these preachers are not going to say anything against that because those special interest groups supports them. So they become agents of the oligarchy, and they have betrayed you because they're no longer speaking the word of God, and not that they did in the first place, because they always have been emotional. This is why you see Buddhist monks sitting down, stilling their thought process to reach that level of Tehuti, or Tehuti is also known as the Tao, the way. This is why the great book of wisdom is called the I-ching, or the other one is the Tao Teaching, the book of the way. It is that emotion within you that keeps you rooted in earthly, worldly, material things. And if you don't transcend that, you won't be able to connect to Source, God, or the Akashic Records. So when I heard her saying, "Oh, I don't read books," I was like, "Oh my God, oh my God," you know, because you do need to read books, because a lot of the esoteric knowledge has been left behind by our ancestors. The Book of Dead, the Book of the Dead, the book of, which is really titled the Book of Coming Forth by Day and by Night, the Port Emhulu, say it with me, the Port Emhulu, is the book that teaches you how to transcend death, how to navigate through the duat. But if you're not reading books, then you don't know this information, you know? The Bhagavad Gita helps you transcend death as well. It is the Indian counterpart to the Poem Haru. To become God in this lifetime, you need the tree of life. Or in the Kabbalah, that will help as well. But these are ancient texts that are very, very important, you know? And to say you don't read them, or you don't need to read books, is insane. I just read the book by Raoul Nefer the Meneb book, and even I was blown away by such knowledge that was in that book. And I've been reading for years. I've accumulated a large library. This person was not the first to say that. So you have a lot of nutcases around out there that you have to be very careful of, who say they can give you counsel. You can't give me counsel, you pimp pastor minister. See, they're trying to pretend they can guide you because they wear their nice suits and have their Rolls Royce, that they've taken the money from the congregation. So they pretend like their lives are okay, George. They pretend like their lives are blessed by God, Joel Osteen. They pretend that everything is in order, that God is on their side, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. Raping the Black community. But it's not their fault. See, it's your fault for supporting them. Joel Osteen came to the South Bronx to speak at Yankee Stadium. The South Bronx, which is a very impoverished neighborhood, sold tickets to his speech for about $200, $300 a pop. And the people went and paid it. That's their fault for doing such ridiculous stuff. This man doesn't know more than you do. He reads from the same Bible as you do. He's not any smarter than you, because we all possess the Tehuti faculty. It is within us. We just need to turn toward it. Go within. Tap into it. Tap into that vibrational frequency, and you'll be speaking such wisdom. But our people are deaf, dumb, and blind. We're very ignorant. What made my person, not the God within me, my person, so sad a couple of days ago, was that two noted YouTube influencers, who I know and had some respect for, suddenly decided to promote on their channels a known con artist, a known con artist. And I just threw my hands up and I said, you can't help these people. Because if you had done any research, a simple Google search, you would have found that this man has a track record of con after con after con, and you're promoting him on your channel. I mean, at that point, I really didn't know what to do or say. And then they were like, I don't want anybody talking bad about him on my channel because he is an honored man. I'm like, an honored man? Are you insane? But this is who we are, you know? This is this is what I've been saying for a longest time, you know? There are mental illnesses and there are shortcomings within our communities. We don't know up from down, which is why you have your pimp pastors riding around in luxury and having 2 and 3 homes. Because we tend to always support the wrong people. I don't know what's wrong with us. We tend to always support the grifters, the smooth talkers, the con artists, and it's like we can't see them coming. And I'm like, am I the only one? I'm not special. I don't have some inherent de skill or detector for con artists. It's just basic common sense to research somebody. But yet, these con artists get all this support. Years ago, I mean, it must have been like 15 years ago, maybe, I told people to stay away from young Pharaoh. No, he's dropping knowledge. I'm like, no, the man is not right. There's some things about him you don't know. And now look now, look where he is now. What happened to that money all you guys gave him? Claimed he was making $1 million a year. He probably was. But where is he at now? They don't shut him down. Because these people are not at that level yet. Young Pharaoh is a young kid. He doesn't know anything. He just knows how to regurgitate things and say it in a way that moves you emotionally. And then you think, ooh, he's deep. He got some deep knowledge. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm honest with people. When I do a interview or presentation, and they're like, that was fantastic. That was astounding. I said, well, not really. I kind of put you in a state of hypnosis, and then I did some NLP stuff to get you emotionally excited. I know how to admit the things that I do to gain favor from people. When I do a lecture and the crowd is taken aback and they're like, wow, he was awesome. I'm not on my ego because in reality, I know what I did. I used hypnotic technique. I know. And I'm not going to praise myself for doing that. When I was out there going to clubs, hooking up with different women, I didn't praise myself as the ultimate ladies man. I knew what I was doing. I was using certain techniques. But I am very pretty though, just to let you know. All right. But I digress. Okay. So put things into perspective. Stop pedestalizing, fetishing, fetishing, idolizing these people because they don't have no special wisdom and knowledge. They don't. You know why? Because you're a fish in a fishbowl and the water is polluted. When that water is polluted, it cannot produce great people. It cannot. And those that come along that are great are few and far between. Lao Tse was one of them, but he's gone. Even Malcolm X had it wrong, coming on and saying Islam is the true religion of the black man. No, it's not. No, it's not. Islam is what has enslaved us. Islam enslaved the black people, and Muhammad used it to murder and to go on his crusade. But I'm not here to get into that. You know, some of us are just very simple minded and we can't interpret complex things. And I understand that. So, very simple religions or ideas, such as good versus bad, they gravitate toward that because that's how they live and see the world. And I don't really interfere with that because, and I'm not saying simple minded in terms of a negative thing. No, I don't want you to think a negative thing. It's just that some people have this very simplistic way of looking at life. And I'm not going to argue with them or anything because, in a sense, it can be a beautiful thing to look at life in a simplistic way because you'll see the beauty in things versus somebody who's always delved into conspiracy theories and has so much data and knowledge that they're like, oh, it's no good. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. You know? So, but supporting these YouTube influencers and these pimp pastor ministers is what got us into the trouble we're in today. We could be free tomorrow if we all act on one accord. We just stop with supporting our own self-destruction. That's all we have to do. Stop supporting your own self-destruction. It's that simple. Two years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, guy walking around in a casino with a BLM cap, Black Lives Matter cap. And I said, brother, you got to take that off. Do you know what they're about? They're about for your own destruction. And it was on their website, and you could have just Googled it and saw it. How simple is that? Somebody asked me something the other day, and I answered them. I said, you could just Google that. I wish when I was going through school, we had the internet because I would have been researching all kinds of stuff. And the people today don't realize how lucky they are because you could literally study anything, physics, engineering, sociology. You can study anything on the internet. And I do the research on the internet, which takes me to the subject at hand, creating your avatar. You see, throughout history, we have always wondered why man committed so many crimes. What made man so evil? And in many cases, not all, the answer is very, very simple, aside for when you get down to certain genetic traits that have been carried on. You see, let me put it to you this way, just to really make it simple. Let us say that you have to speak before a large audience, right? And you're nervous about that. And you want to be rid of that nervousness and anxiety. Or let's say you have to take a plane and you have fear of planes. Or you have a fear of snakes and you have to work at a pet shop, or what have you. Those things can be overcome simply by creating an avatar. Let's say that you are a person who's always shy. You're shy in groups, you're shy at parties, you're shy by yourself. When you walk by a mirror, you scare yourself. You're just a timid person. How do you overcome that? Well, we in spiritual culture would create an avatar, which is a form of a spirit, a thought spirit, or ergobor. or pendulum. You see, these spirits exist in thought forms. So if you want to overcome your shyness, if you want to be more entrepreneurial and more assertive or be an alpha man, you can create an avatar. And by doing so, you will embody those character traits. Well, Qesankh, how is that done? Where it's simple. It's simple. All right, here's a quick test for everybody in the chat box. In the Kemetic language, if I wanted to call you, how would I say that? Like if I instead of saying, "Hey, Marcus," without using a name, if I wanted to call you, what Kemetic term would I use? And for a woman, what Kemetic term would I use? I was doing a YouTube video, and I loved it when the Germany call the women Fräulein, Fräulein, or Senorita, Senorita. You know. So tell me in the chat box. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and donate to the channel if you get an opportunity. You see, it's so easy, and this technique was done for thousands and thousands of years by our ancient ancestors, and Freud discovered it. And you see, the secret of understanding why man became so evil throughout history is in the history books. If you look at and do the Google search, you'll see that you have Jeffrey Dahmer, all these individuals said something very similar and in common. They were like, I heard a voice telling me to kill, and it's almost as if they were schizophrenic in a way. I heard these voices that were telling me what to do. And that's the key to understanding that. And that's the key to your liberation. You see, to overcome these habits or to possess qualities you don't currently have, the process is very simple. We create an avatar, a thought spirit. You sit down and you meditate, visualize the type of person you want to be. If it's a person who is a good track runner, see yourself running and winning. In the meditation state, in the alpha state. See yourself becoming good at a subject, whether it be engineering. Well, let me not get into that right now because I'll touch on that. See yourself giving that speech in front of the audience and not feeling nervous and giving an electric speech, a powerful speech. See yourself working on your business every day. Now, you need to meditate on this for 30 minutes a day for at least 28 days. This will happen probably for 6 months. So let's get into the depth of this so you understand the mechanics of this. When you are meditating, you're accessing the right brain, which is the seat of the emotions. Okay? Right now, what controls you is the mammalian and reptilian brain. Okay? You need your prefrontal lobe to be in control, to subdue those. All right. But the thing is, you want to put that left brain to sleep so the right brain becomes active, because the right brain, when you visualize something, it doesn't know the difference between you going through it and it actually happened. I remember me and my brother got on the roller coaster at Coney Island, right? And we must have rode that roller coaster 20, 30 times. Because the first time I got on it, I loved it. And I've always loved dangerous roller coasters. And that was a great roller coaster back in the day. We must have rode that roller coaster 20, 30 times. All right. I got off the roller coaster. My brother and I got off the roller coaster, right? And we caught the train going home. and we both fell asleep, right? So we're both sleeping and we're both going, and the reason we were doing that is because we were dreaming that we were back on the roller coaster and it would scare us and our bodies would wake up because our bodies didn't know that when we were dreaming being on a roller coaster, it didn't know that it was a dream. What we were experiencing, we thought was real in the subconscious realm. So we would jerk ourselves awake. You know, if a rape victim, if they are going through that experience again by visualizing it, it's no different than when it actually happened. You see what I'm saying? And they're experiencing trauma all over again. If you get a bear attacks you and you manage to survive because they're very ferocious, you're going to be traumatized every time you visualize or think about a bear because the mind does not know, the right brain does not know the difference between what you imagine and what is actually transpiring. So when you are visualizing yourself giving a perfect speech, getting on that plane and not being afraid, handling those snakes without any fear. When you repeatedly visualize that, what's happening? What's happening? You are feeding that avatar. Yeah, you got it. A Tef is for a man and Moot is for a woman. Yep, give that man a prize, you know. All right, Sekar Nefertara, thank you. That's actually, wow, no one else knew that. Okay, tells me who's paying attention. So the avatar, in order to exist, must be fed energy, energy, energy. So you continually visualize yourself getting on that plane and you visualize it in detail. And you visualize yourself comfortable, maybe even flirting with the flight attendant. I've never done that, but maybe you do it. You know, of course I've never done it. All right. Um, or running that track in your mind. And if you continually do this and you're excited about this and you show a level of excitement, it slowly feeds the avatar. Now, here's what happens at about 6 months. You will start to notice the avatar becoming sentient. What do I mean by that? I just heard a humming noise there. It was weird. Meaning the avatar will start to come alive in your mind and think for itself and act on its own. That avatar, now that you have fed it continually for 6 months, is going to take on a life and it's going to start talking to you. It may start telling you, all right, time to get up and go to the gym. All right, we got to take a plane ride. Uh-oh, let's go to the zoo. You know, we got to check out those snakes. The avatar is going to communicate with you. And now you are going to be, it'll first seem like thoughts in the back of your mind. Then they will become more prevalent and more prevalent and more prevalent till you realize that's not your yourself talking to you. That's the avatar because you have fed it energy. Now, what eventually is going to happen, I'm not going to get too much into detail. I'll probably do that on my Patreon. Is the avatar is going to become so sentient, it's going to ask you one of two things, either to merge with you or to replace you. is going to ask you again either to merge with you or replace you, both of which are okay if you've been doing the right things. You understand what I'm saying? If you have been doing the right things, such as visualize yourself winning that track or winning, making that hoop in basketball, and the avatar says, "Can I merge with you?" And your answer is yes. If the avatar says, "Can I replace you?" and you say yes. But I got to get into that a little later. When the avatar wants to replace you, that means that you have been doing the work of a total overhaul in your character, in your persona, as Freud would say. So if you feel that I just hate myself all the way around and you want to just fix a lot of things, then that's when the avatar, you can say, yes, you can replace me. And what will happen is your personality and who you are will no longer exist. The new personality and that you've been working on with the avatar will suddenly take your place and there'll be a new you. Or if the avatar just wants to merge with you, that means you've been working on one particular skill set and then he can merge with you and suddenly you'll become really good, like a great painter or something that you've been working on. That's how it works. Oh, Hetepu. I can't pronounce it. My frequency. Is that how you pronounce it? I think I got it right. All right. Beautiful picture, by the way. Nice. Nice lights. So now let's go in and let's go back to hey Bob, how's it going? Hetepu. Why does it take so long to digest the only person in this reality? Why does it take so long to digest you're the only person in this reality? I don't understand that question. Maybe you can rephrase it. I would appreciate it. Oh, Hetepu. So let's go back into looking at these evil people throughout history, whether it be men or women, because there were some very evil women that existed. Okay. You see, these are people, individuals who created an avatar and they allowed the avatar to replace them and they became evil. You see, what they did was, I'm going to give you the example here of a pedophile. They're always looking at photos of kids and like jerking off or getting sexually excited about when they look at those little children, and that's feeding that avatar inside them. They have suddenly created an avatar, and the more they do that, the more they empower the avatar. They feed the avatar to a point where the avatar doesn't even ask, can it replace them or merge with them? The avatar just is so powerful, it does. We call this possession. So their old personality dissipates and its avatar takes over, and now they're going and doing destructive things in society. And this is why in many cases they say, I hear a voice inside me. Yeah, that's an avatar telling you to do negative things, crazy things, because you fed it. You ever known people who like were just angry people all the time? Because they have indulged in the anger so much that they have fed the avatar to where the avatar now is the dominant personality trait. And now they're angry 24/7. This is the meaning of the I-ching, the 27th hexagram, where it says you become what you nourish. And the same goes for, you know, if I'm a type of person who watches a lot of comedy and I'm into comedy, I'm going to become a very relaxed, humorous person after a while. If I do that consistently for a long period of time, think about that. Um, so when you look back in history, when you do the research throughout history, and you see these personalities, these people, Jack the Ripper, all of these people, this is what not in every case though. Let me just say that because this is a very complex subject about why evil exists. But let me just give you some of the reasons why it does. And that's because you have nourished an avatar to do to do negative things. You have embellished and you don't even know you're creating it. Just like some people don't even know they're creating avatars of jealousy. And it becomes so powerful, it takes over, and you can't control yourself. This is why I tell you time and time after again, going to a psychologist does not help. You cannot talk yourself out of the avatar. You can't. It's too powerful at that point. This is why serial killers are like, I have to kill. I just have to. I'm compelled to do it. I can't stop, you know? This is why our one of the reasons, because they're genetically engineered, our leaders in our government are psychopaths. You understand? If you indulge that emotion, you feed that avatar over and over again, it's going to come alive. It's going to become sentient and it's going to take over. It won't ask. This is why you have to be in control. You have to know what you're doing. Do not indulge in strong negative emotions. Those are very difficult to conquer. That was the whole story of a Asar and a Set. Set being your animal nature, your Sahu, and you feeding that and it becoming so powerful that it kills Osar within you. You know what I mean? Like reality doesn't exist apart from the observer, but sometimes you forget this because the people around you feel so real. Well, that's why you are so good of a manifester that you created your creation to such detail that it feels real. It feels real, but it's not. And I've gotten to the point in my spiritual training to where I know reality keeps pinging me. And let me explain what that means. Reality keeps letting me know, hey, this is not real. Like, for example, I will sit here surfing the internet. Well, that's not a good example. But anyway, I'll sit here watching TV and maybe turn away and think about, I don't know. Yeah, I'll turn away from the TV and think about, sorry, excuse me, a Rubik's Cube, right? And then when I look at TV, there's a Rubik's Cube commercial. I'm like, what? Why would there be a Rubik's Cube commercial? This thing went out in the 80s or the 70s. But that's reality trying to tell me, hey, listen, we're in sync. This is a false reality. You're creating it with your thoughts. It's just letting me know that. It happens to me all the time. It's constantly pinging me so I understand that I am constantly manifesting everything around me. You get it? So you have to always keep that in mind, that you are the observer. You are not the physical body, the Geb or the Sabah. When I first started teaching, they would call me Seba, meaning teacher with earth-born knowledge. You are not that. You are not the fireman. You are not the administrative assistant, the flight attendant. You are consciousness. And the only reason that you have a physical body here, because consciousness needs something to experience the fourth dimensional plane. Consciousness cannot experience 4D without a 4D avatar. It needs a vehicle to experience. That is why God created you. God created you so God could experience itself. God cannot experience itself because God is immaterial. God does not exist at any one fixed point in space and time. God is not material. God is not physical. So God has to create a scenario to experience itself in, to experience its infinite power, its infinite wisdom. I digress. I apologize. I want you all to keep in mind, too, that we are going to Brazil February for Carnival. All right. And that's part of my World Passport Bros. So if you are interested, please go to my website and register. It's called worldpassportbros.com. And it's for the ladies too. If you want to come, you are more than welcome. So we'll take a quick look at that and I'll be right back. So don't forget, it's going to be Brazil and then the Philippines. And then, well, we have a schedule, so you can check out the schedule and then you can see all the great places we're going to. And it was exhausting this year because I was traveling a lot. And it was like, oh my God, one thing I did learn from all the traveling is I got to have leg room. I got to have leg room. I was walking by the people who had sit by the exits in the plane, and I was so envious because they had all this leg room, because they're the designated help. So if something happens in emergency, they are going to help with the emergency exit and all that. And let me tell you something about that. Just the whole thing about the planes. My mother was so terrified of planes, and I wish she wasn't. But sometimes I go on the plane because I love turbulence. I love it when it starts bumping, 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 which is cool. And I always think like she would probably die from a heart attack off the turbulence alone. There's nothing I could have. She. Let me tell you something. She was even afraid of driving in a car. I kid you not. So that tells you where we're coming from in Virginia. I don't. Well, see, Virginia doesn't have traffic congestion. They're just like dirt roads. I kid you not. Where we're from, dirt roads. So New York traffic scares her. So it's just funny. I think about that every now and then. But yeah, join World Passport Bros because we're going to be traveling, having fun, and doing some great things. And I want to put on that schedule. This is a good announcement. I want to put on that schedule South America to go and work with the shaman to do ayahuasca. All right. Is you guys down for that? Do your readings. My reading was like, go for it. That medicine can help immensely. And I know a priestess who will hook it up for us. So boy, I don't know anymore. I think YouTube's gonna take this video down now. I just don't know anymore, because they're going too crazy with the censorship issue. Like Facebook suspended me. Now I don't know what YouTube's gonna do. They were taking my videos down, so I don't know, man. I'm trying to help people, but yet the man is against me. Let's say it all together. The man is against me. Fight the power. All right. Where were we? Oh yeah. So you can see, like, I'm gonna tell you something. Many people don't know that Cleopatra was a serial killer. That woman was by look, she was something else. People don't know that, and they don't portray that too much because they want to get caught up in this mystique about her beauty. All right, there's two things you need to know about Cleopatra. This is documented. The woman was not pretty at all. She wasn't pretty at all. And historians will admit that. And she was a serial killer. She was killing people, members of her family. to ascend to the throne. It was bad. So by her reign and that time in Kemet already was done with. It went down the tubes. So by the time she came along, it was already gone, declined. The culture was destroyed because you couldn't be a Kemetian priest or king or queen and be a serial killer. That didn't happen because they lived by Ma'at. Ma'at was the main thing that everybody lived by. You did not play, but like I said, by the time she came along, all that was destroyed. Oh, peace to you. Yeah, come on the trip. We need other people as pretty as me. So, some of y'all on the pretty scale, you won't be able to come because we do have that scale. I'm just kidding. Okay. Uh, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. And Carnival, just so you know, was originally a religious thing, a very spiritual and religious thing that dates back, but I won't get into all of that for you. But going back to the research and researching these very evil men, King Leopold, your Hitler, they are special cases. Those guys are a special type of evil, they're special cases. But what I'm saying to you, in our modern society, when you see people with such a disposition that's so disagreeable, so argumentative, this is because an avatar has taken over them and they can't stop. It's a compulsion on their part. It's in the same way where you can't stop getting nervous when you speak before an auditorium. You can't stop getting nervous before you get on the plane. You can't stop getting nervous when you take a test. It's an automatic response, a physiological, biological response. It's programmed into your cells. And the only way to get rid of it is let's put it this way. The only way that you are the first thing when everybody asks me about these type of things, I said the best thing to do is practice preventative medicine. Don't drugs are very powerful things. I've had people in my family with drugs. The best way to beat drugs is not to get on them in the first place. That is the best thing. And if you want to root out these things before they become too powerful and take you over, we do what we call as a pattern break. A pattern break, meaning that when you start to go into your emotional tantrum or whatever, we break that pattern. We stop you right there. And then we introduce a new pattern, whether it be laughter, peace, something that interrupts that pattern so that that pattern is not feeding that avatar. That's important. Now, if you're creating an avatar for a good purpose, then all for it. You can feed the avatar as much as you want. And then when it comes time for it to want to replace you or merge with you, you can do that. Now, this leads into a little bit of the shadow work, you know what I mean, where we're kind of ferreting out our negative behaviors and stuff. And I'll make another video on this shadow work because it's very, in a way, similar to this. But put it this way. If you don't deal with what's in your shadow, and a lot of these so-called spiritualists and witches and priests or whatever get it wrong. If you don't deal with what's in your shadow, not only will it be a detrimental thing to you in this lifetime, but when you die, that shadow will prevent you from becoming an honored ancestor. In other words, that shadow will keep you reincarnating. You'll be on the karmic wheel, as they call it. You just keep reincarnating, because that shadow has not been resolved. And that's why it's called a shadow, just because it's hidden from the public's eye and you're not exhibiting real signs of what's in your shadow. That doesn't mean that everything is hunky-dory. When you die, what's trapped in your shadow comes back at you to scare you and frighten you. It takes it takes on a shape of something, and if you react to it, that shows you have not transcended and become a seer. And then what happens when you stand before the scales of Ma'at and they're weighing your heart against the feather, your heart meaning, are you emotionally moved by those things that come at you? And if you are, then you must reincarnate. And these people in this world among an infinite number of worlds like this, these rulers in this world, the global elite know that they want to keep you reincarnating and servicing them. This is why they don't like spiritual culture. This is why they promote religion. Religion cannot help you. All those people just practicing religion are just going to keep reincarnating because they're not dealing with the shadow. It's only a band-aid. But when you start doing the real work of improving yourself spiritually, of dealing with what's trapped in your subconscious mind or your spirit, then that changes everything. That gives you the opportunity to become an honored ancestor to where you don't have to reincarnate if you don't want to. You can stay in the inner planes, or you can come back down as a sage and guide people. You understand? That's the big difference. Or you can come back down and look sexy like me. But hey, that's up to you if you want to do that. Okay? But your goal is not to be good, as the Christians say. Oh, be good, do unto others as they would have done unto you. That's academic. Please. You should be doing that. God doesn't give you any points for doing that. You should do it. That's normal. But you have specific hangups, specific issues that you must deal with. And what reveals that to you is your destiny reading can really reveal it to you. You know what I'm saying? And when you start to work on that stuff, you piss off the global elite because they know that there's one more soul they won't be getting. Because then your heart will weigh lighter than a feather and you'll have an opportunity to stay in the inner planes. Because this existence is screwed up. I mean, they said, well, what would you do if you got abducted by aliens? I said, I would be like, where the hell have you guys been? Do you know how crazy this planet is? Listen, take me now. This place is full of psychos. Who took you guys so long, man? That's how I would be. Yeah, anal probe. Don't want to do it. But in this case, this world's crazy. I'm on board. Let's go. This is how bad this world is. But it's set up that way so you can spiritually transcend it. This world is full of psychopaths, undiagnosed people running around with mental illness. And the best thing you do is cut those people off from your life, especially going into 2023. You can't heal them. You can't help them because they have fed their avatar too much. They have given it too much power to where it is dominating their actions and they're on autopilot. They can't stop if they wanted to. It's like, let me explain something. And this is childish in a way, but this you'll get the point though, right? It's like the Cookie Monster. You put a cookie in front of him and he can't stay still. He'd be like, cookies, cookies, cookies. Okay? That's the Cookie Monster. Same thing with these people who have hangups. You can't change them. There's a YouTube influencer who I know, and he talks about how every time his mother gets in financial trouble, she just prays and says, "God will take care of it." I said, "Man, that she's already controlled by that avatar. She can't think that she needs to get up and do something to handle her financial situation. She keeps thinking she's been so programmed and she's feeding the avatar that she just needs to pray and God will just get rid of those bills. No, that doesn't work. People who pay lottery, you know what I mean? Did you hear Neil deGrasse Tyson say this? That they don't teach statistics in school? Statistical science in school? Because if they did, you would realize the probability of you winning the lottery is astronomical and you wouldn't play. You'd have a better chance of walking in the street and getting hit by a car than hitting the lottery. You have a better chance of getting struck by lightning 3 times than hitting the lottery. You have a better chance of walking in the forest, meeting Bigfoot. I'm not kidding, meeting Bigfoot and then seeing a UFO overhead and then looking in the water and seeing the Loch Ness Monster. You have a better chance of all those things happening than hitting the lottery. This is why they don't teach statistics in school. Oh, I'm not, did I say statistics? Well, kind of similar, probabilities. Sorry, I meant probabilities. Well, it's kind of the same thing. I know people gonna kill me now. Like, statistics is not the. Just as like people know that they go to Atlantic City or Vegas, they know they're not gonna win, but it's the excitement. You know, let me explain something to you. When I first came to Vegas, right? And there is a way to hold on a second. Gosh darn it. I done did it now. I cut myself. Shoot, I cut myself. But luckily, I've got something. Neil's foreign. That's good. I can use the blood for ritual. Someone remind me what I was about to say. Talking about Vegas winning. Oh yeah. So when I first came to Vegas, I figured out that there's a way to beat it, right? But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that they gave me a tour of everything. I went to the private penthouses, and I went to where the billionaires would stay, and they showed me around. And I'm telling you, I was impressed. I was freaking impressed. I was walking around and looking at, oh my God. And they were like, okay, Qesankh, it's time to leave. I'm like, no, I'm staying here, man. Some of those hotel rooms that the billionaires stay in, for one thing, they're comped. So those hotel rooms are free for the billionaires because they know the billionaires spend a lot of money gambling, right? But not only that, it comes with a private bartender and other things, other features. So I mean, there's a lot, I can't even go into it too. I wanted to tell you guys, but I can't. There's a lot of things where they set it up so that you can't win. The house will always win. Okay, this I can tell you. If you start to win too much, they shut the table down. They either ask you to play another game or they ask you to leave. So there's no way you're going to break Vegas. So, and it really made me stop and think when I started getting deep into it and I started seeing some of these high rollers, as they call them, these whale, actually they call them the whales. And I'm sitting down there with them and I'm watching them throw out chips for 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 and lose it and they not flinch. So I started to just think about how that money could be used to help people, to really help people. But they're just throwing it away because they want the excitement. They don't necessarily need the money there. They're filthy rich. But they like the excitement. And there's different tiers. There's the billionaires, and then there's those below them who actually will want the money and need the money. No, I shouldn't say need the money, but they do want the money. The billionaires above them, if they lose the money, there's no big deal to them. Doesn't phase them. But anyway, either way, I was just like, wow, man, I can't see a life. I cannot see a parallel reality where I am a billionaire throwing that much money away. I can't do it. You know, um, because if I had that money, I would try to really, really just do something great with it. You know, and I'll give you an example, like not to pick on young Pharaoh, but he is young and he's immature. He got all of that money, right? Because his channel, his videos went viral. He got all that money. He got paid. Okay. And the first thing he did was buy a sports car and then some jewelry, a Rolex or something. Versus I would have built a temple to Ma'at and where people could come and meditate. That's the first thing I would have done. But you have to understand where he's coming from. He was been in jail. He was raised, I think, in Brooklyn to very, very impoverished surroundings. So, and the one thing that you'll see with all of these people who are scammers and not real, the one thing that I've noticed is they all aspire to be rappers. I don't know why or what's up with that. They all just have this thing that they want to be rappers. And they did this show recently where they talked about the money you see, the jewelry you see, it's not real. These rappers are phony. They're faking it in these videos. You know? I just don't understand. Like, what is this with these men, these black men, to where they just want to all be rappers? I just don't get it. I'm in the elevator of my condo, right? Going up the elevator, this young man is talking. I think he was talking to his uncle or something, and he had just graduated. And his uncle said, "Congratulations!" And I'm overhearing this conversation, and he said, "What do you want to be?" He says, "Well, I want to be pretty like Qesankh." I was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." No, I'm just kidding. He said, "I want to be in the music industry," and I was like, "What? We don't need more people in music. We need doctors. We need scientists." But this something, whether it be an avatar, has taken hold of these men, and all they want is money and bitches. Because that's why they want to be rappers. You know? I just don't understand that. What's wrong with you guys? It's a get rich thing, maybe. I don't know. What is up? Rapping is a lifestyle likened to the battle royale in the book The Invisible Man. It also is a cultural dynamic that perpetuates itself too. Absolutely right. Hey, listen, speaking on that, you guys are really coming up with some phenomenal stuff. I'm going to put the link here, right? And if any one of you want to come on live and ask me a question, you're more than welcome to do so. All right. But please, um, um, no, I won't go out with you and I won't marry you. And I'm not kidding. You believe how many questions, how many emails I get with that? I'm not, that's not a joke. You know what I mean? It's like, they're all like, I love you, Qesankh. I want to marry you. So that's the link. If you guys want to come in and join this stream and ask questions, you need to well, you don't have to show your face. You can use your avatar, if you want. But just let me know. The link is there. And again, don't forget to donate to the channel and hit the like button so YouTube doesn't take this video down. I've said, damn, I said some words I probably shouldn't have. That's going to flag it now. I'm just a troublemaker, just a darn troublemaker. All right. So going back to what we were saying before, what you'll need to do is just to make sure that you're feeding your avatar the exact things or the attributes that you want to embody. Now, when we're getting to advancing in a particular discipline, like you want to be a sous chef, right? You want to be an airline pilot. You want to be an engineer. You can create an avatar who is an expert in those things. This is where we start getting down to alchemy and vibrational frequencies. To do that, you would be working with a specific mantra for a genii. A genii is a spirit or a genie that is an expert in that discipline. See, all of these disciplines, if you want to be a chess champ, there is a genii that governs that can make you very good at chess. I love chess. I'm not very good at it, but I love chess. I keep getting beat. I get frustrated. I was playing this woman the other day. I had to play her 2-3 times, and the last time she made me mad because she let me win. I'm like, don't let me win, darn it! Finally, she kicked me out. I was getting upset. There is a vibrational frequency that you'll need to tune into with your avatar, so the avatar will embody that particular discipline. So again, if you want to be a chess champ, there is a genii with a sigil and a mantra that will help you create the avatar. And the avatar, when you embody it, will give you all of those attributes. All right. And this is how, if you go back and look at the video, I was able to do my presentations and ace my presentation to these major companies, and watch that video because I talk about how I was presenting to I don't know how I got myself into these situations. I really don't, because I was like, all right, so they flew me out to New York, right? And I was going to help with putting the presentation deck together. And then the next thing I know, they say, oh, Qesankh, that's your section you'll be talking about. I go, what? What section? What? Oh yeah, you're going to be presenting this section on case studies. I was like, huh? I don't know. Hey man, I just started helping you guys the other week. I don't know your case studies, and oh man. So I had like no time to prepare because I had just got that deck, right? So I was in the hotel and I'm like, just my sexy self was just so nervous, you know what I mean? And and when I get nervous, you'll notice I tend to flirt when I get nervous. So I went downstairs to get some orange juice, and they have the concierge there. And she's an older woman, so I went up to her and I was making fun of her name, and she just started laughing, laughing, laughing. And that kind of relieved some of the anxiety. But when I went back up to the hotel room, the reality hit me. I'm like, I'm going to do this presentation, and I only had this is, how many pages is this? This is like 14 pages I have to present. I have not I have not time to prepare. So anyway, when the presentation came, I actually blew them away. And it was only because I allowed the avatar to take over. You understand? I have been building that avatar over the course of years and totally forgot that that's one of the areas that I really excel at is presentations and lectures. I remember back in the day in New York, I would have a school and I would just give lectures one after the other. Not a regular school, but it was a school that dealt with spiritual and acting classes and stuff like that. But you know, you do not need it. In other words, we can produce geniuses. These kids out here, especially the young black men, can't read at their grade level. There's no reason for that. We can produce geniuses if we tune into this ability. You know what I mean? If you watch, just you may not agree with what he does, but if you watch Bashar, it's Daryl Anka who channels an extra dimensional entity called Bashar. And when he channels Bashar's an avatar. He says some of the most profound things. And I'm going to let my ego speak here a little bit, but him and I had a back and forth once. It was on camera. And you may be able to find it, but we were going and I touched on some stuff that made him think about JFK and parallel dimensions. And he was like, good questions, Qesankh. So we were going back and forth. And that became, people started talking about that. I remember like meeting people I didn't even know. They were like, hey, that was you, right? That was talking to Bashar about that. That was sensational, you know? And when I brought those issues up and Daryl was channeling Bashar, he was on point in what he was saying. He was able to answer my question because it was a deep question. And there's another woman, she's a spiritualist as well. She's very good. She had brought that up in one of her classes because I was watching her lecture and she brought that up. I said, hey, she says, yeah, and it was this very good lecture that Daryl was giving on JFK, which really made me think. I go, hey, that was me. That was me. So, because I had challenged him on some things, but his avatar is so, let me tell you how good his avatar is. He's so good. And I noticed it because when they recorded my interaction with him, I played it back for a group. And I said, do you guys notice anything interesting about what's happening here? They go, no. I said, Daryl is answering the question before I ask it. Do you see that? And they were like, oh, yeah. And I said, that is deep. That is deep. You know what I mean? Like I'll start, and before I can really get the question all out, he starts with the answer. And I'm like, wow. But a lot of people didn't pick up on that, but I caught that. And I'm saying, yeah, he's good. He's been working with that avatar for a while now. It's called Bashar. Look it up, But imagine if we all tuned into that. We could be experts in fields and excel and free ourselves. Early in this broadcast, I talked about how we're always supporting the wrong things, and we do. Our culture is something we should hang on to. Do you know that the ruling elite will never be seen? They'll never allow themselves to be seen because they don't want you to know who's behind the curtain, right? So they'll continually manipulate They'll continually manipulate. Hey, Alexa, are you eavesdropping? Alexa, are you eavesdropping? All right, making sure. Okay. Her light comes on. I know she's eavesdropping. But I forgot to unplug her. Yeah, we could be, the ruling elite has this information. The Vatican has this information. But we don't, because we don't value our own religion. They have programmed us to the point that we hate our own spiritual ancestry. We do. And we give our money to these pimp pastor ministers that mislead us and lie to us. You know, we have got to stop this. So I'm asking you to join me in this endeavor for your own sake. And how do you join me? Just take this spiritual way of life and make it yours. That's all you have to do. Respect it. I had to leave the temple that I was studying at, one of many. And he asked me, why were you leaving? I said, you don't really respect the gods. You don't really respect them. You keep referring to them as faculties. They're more than that. They're real. And you've reduced them to a Sebic terminology. And I can't jive with that, because for me, Ma'at is real. Heru is real. Heru was one of the first deities on this planet. And you have to worship him, covet him, and respect him. And in so doing, we'll take back this planet and bring the vibration of love, harmony, and peace to all. We can do this. It is possible, but don't depend on a leader to lead you. Lead yourself. Practice this every day. And yes, if you want a spiritual teacher, and if you find one you like, go for it. But make sure your oracle reading says that they're legit. All right. Just do your oracle reading. All right. So, Mercurial Lore, what's up?
Peace. I'm trying to find my background. I've never done this before.
Oh.
Let me try to put you on pause.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You got it.
I got it. Okay. That looks nice.
You got a nice house, man. You got a nice piano.
Excluding the piano. Yeah, that looks nice. Piano's cool. Piano's cool.
Yeah. So what's your question, man? What's up?
I think I've been texting you, or I emailed you in regards to an oracle reading. I've found you maybe a couple of years back. I don't quite know when, but oftentimes there was by the way, my name is ML. It's a pleasure to meet you. First of all,
ML, what's up?
Yes. And since 15, I've been in the conscious community. And so just to give you a synopsis, I started reading in the library of the Panthers, and I was really touched by the community efforts. And fast forward, I moved to New York, and I started designing crochet and became a crochet designer. Of course, art coupled with that too in the design process. But the reason I mention that is because I started with this book when I was like 16, and that's why I mentioned the conscious community, because this was a really big highlight for me in understanding self and having what I perceived as, consciousness in the cultural community. I was dismayed and disappointed, as I am now, because of the egotism and the lack of allowing or designing dynamics in which youth could be, grandfathered into this consciousness. But, to my dismay, even meeting, influential revolutionaries like, Sekou Odinga, writing Mutulu Shakur, there were fragmentation of different cultural dynamics in the 60s. And oftentimes I was mistaken by romance of it. Hence me writing about the Invisible Man in the Battle Royale. The Battle Royale was, whenever I read the book Invisible Man, I'll be very short, I apologize, but there's a game where they had young Black men who were either slaves or indentured servants or whatever, and they would have them, it was described in Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, they would have them in a boxing ring and they would blindfold them. And they would bet on these young Black boys to beat each other and who's going to knock each other out in the first place. And then it gets to a point where the narrator is asking one of the boxers, why is he doing this, to stop? And then in so many words, he's like, well, how do you know I don't want to? And so that's what I see as the dilemma with Black men in particular, and coming into this consciousness, is that, there is a lot of talk and rhetoric, but it lacks practicality. And I think that's truly the dynamic that I'm dismayed about. It's the practicality that's lacking, and the ushering of the youth. I'm no longer youth, but I have a youth mindset that has allowed me to teach in the community and teach crochet in Harlem. But again, the forces that be, they come in, whoever they are. I usually describe they as the hierarchy enslaving you. It could be your mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, whoever. And they utilize monies from corporations. And then all of a sudden you have white managers or white women who are lesbian or of the LGBTQ influence. And now they have a position, whereas they could have utilized someone in the community. And so this is a frustration that I'm seeing and I'm verifying, but at the same time, I'm neutral because I understand everybody has their frailties as a human being.
Well, we're not talking about individual frailties. We're talking about a collective that's gone on the wrong track. Have you read the book, The Spook Who Sat by the Door?
Oh, yeah. My father introduced me to that. And then when years later, I discovered there was a movie and I was just blown away. And that was when I was like 16. Yeah. Sam Greenerly, I think. I think this is his name.
Yeah, good book, good movie. Yeah, it is. The one thing that we have not done, you see, the thing is when you see our behavior, you're seeing what we call as coping mechanisms, because we're trying to deal with the trauma that we've gone through by hanging on to things, whether it be idealistic, these notions of liberation and freedom. And we are trying to apply the 60s of Malcolm and Dr. King to modern day, and that doesn't work. Because what they were doing worked in their time, it doesn't work in this time. And I tell people this all the time. This enemy that we are facing is more sophisticated now, evidenced by Black Lives Movement. Everybody fell for that. It's more sophisticated. And I said, one of the things that we have failed to do is to leverage the internet, leverage platforms like YouTube to organize, not to just get on a pulpit and talk about the problem. You see, the real con artists, they will come and they'll talk about the problem, and they're good orators. So you think that they're knowledgeable and they have solutions. They don't have any real solutions. They can just regurgitate to you what the problems are. You know what I mean?
I feel like they usurped the prophetic Black voice in a way.
What's that?
I said, I feel like, yes, in a way, they usurped the prophetic Black voice.
Yeah. And we have to be careful of that, because we commonly respect. See, we take symbolism and symbols for progress.
Yes.
They erect a statue of George Floyd or something, and we're like, oh, we're making progress. There's no progress in that. We're not making. They give us a holiday, Juneteenth. There's no progress in that, you know. But we mistake these symbols, you know, like I always joke and say the Million Monkey March, where the brothers are going to Washington. That's all symbolic. There's no progress in that. What did that accomplish? You know what I mean? And people they get upset because when you start talking about tangibles,
Yes.
they don't want to go there. They're like, I said, but what do we get? What do we get from this?
Oh, they'll
But
counter that by saying it's reconciliation. I'm going to bow out right now, but I appreciate you taking the time to answer the call.
All right, thank you.
But
Anytime.
my initial approach was I was curious about the readings.
Okay, so why don't you you text? You said you text me. Text me again, and we'll set up a time and date for your reading. Okay.
Okay. Peace.
And I'll make sure I get back to you. Hetepu. Yeah, so we're caught up in this whole thing of just symbolic gestures, and we're taking that and we actually think it means progress because we are right-brained, and the right brain deals in symbols. All right, this is why we have the hieroglyphics, you know. So we have to be very, very careful. And for far too long, we have done this. And they know that it appeases us. They know it appeases us. This is why they throw it at us, you know? We're getting nothing from this administration. And we'll get nothing from the next administration until we realize that this political system is not the way to our freedom. It's not. It's smoke and mirrors. You see, it is the Hegelian dialectic. You're getting two choices, both of which are bad. One is evil and one is more evil. You know, which one do you want? You know, that's not a real choice. Two-party system is not a real choice. But we fall for it. When I was telling people I don't vote, and they're like, "Oh, you know your ancestors died to give you the right to vote." I'm like, "No, they didn't." And I'll vote when we have a true republic, not democracy, a republic, when we have a true republic, because that's what we need. All right. And a republic is for the people. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, until my next video, I want to thank you all for coming in, and you had some excellent, excellent questions. I love that. Keep it coming. This is Qesankh Keparu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Hedaru. Until my next video, Amen Ra.